What's going on, Jeromes? So your Minnesota Vikings should and could be looking for their quarterback of the future in the draft this year. And beyond the Caleb Williams and the Drake Mays and the J.J. McCarthy's Dynamite, as well as the Jaden Daniels of the world, you have Michael Penix Jr. That's right. The left-hander, southpaw, ball just explodes out of his hand, can absolutely sling it, man. And he's one of the more interesting prospects out there because simply on arm talent, the dude should be a first-round pick. But you factor in age, you factor in health, you factor in medicals. Questionable, man. But Penix at the Combine, he probably had the most to gain of anyone at the Combine this year. Not just quarterbacks, but the entire number of players who were invited. And a lot of people still remember Penix and just writing him off because of what happened against Michigan, as opposed to, hey, Washington's run defense was bad, and also Rome Odunze, McMillian, and the rest of the crew there in Washington had a bad day. Dylan Johnson got hurt. So, hey, let's just blame everything on Penix. Right, and yeah, Penix did not play his best. He did sail a couple balls. It's clear that he got dinged up during the game, and that affected him, so it is what it is. But let's not forget, just like 2 weeks earlier, I mean, Penix completely shredded that vaunted Texas defense, man. Was 29 to 38 for 430 and 2 touchdowns, was dropping piss missiles all over the place, big-time throws against a big-time defense, and I understand you have to balance things out, but too many people just harp on what they saw lately, and this was not good, but this was extremely good. And Penix, I mean, he definitely turned things around at the Combine, receiving a lot of praise from the higher-ups. Pete Schrager, go. Michael Penix Jr. measurables are the buzz right now. 6'2", as expected. The rest, 81-inch wingspan. Huge. 10.5-inch hands. Huge. 33 and 5/8 arm length. Huge. His hand size is in the top 10 all-time for quarterbacks at the Combine and is the same as Anthony Richardson, 6'4", last year. Now, hand size is important because when you're outside, cold weather games, holding on that football and be able to grip it and rip it, it is an important factor there. But, I mean, playing indoors at historic U.S. Bank Stadium, not that big of a deal, but if the Vikings have to go on the road in the playoffs in a cold weather stadium, open air stadium, that's important. Or if the Vikings play the Bears or the Packers late in the year, that is also important as well. Praise continues. Daniel Jeremiah, DJ, Penix spins the ball better than anyone that threw today. That included Spencer Rattler, that included J.J. McCarthy. McCarthy was fine. Rattler had some nice ones. Joe Milton, I feel like people are back on the Joe Milton train, even though he's literally undraftable. He's very borderline. Matt Miller, Penix is having a really strong throwing workout. Ball flies out of his hand. Super crisp execution on deep routes. A few misses, but he's been the most impressive thrower tonight. So not just fly routes, but the deep posts, the dig routes, the fades. Like, he was really impressive in all phases of throwing. Continued. So Jordan Schultz, perhaps the most important part. So also his medicals. Rap sheet. We don't have the graphic, but his medicals checked out and they're perfect. They're good to go, pristine. So that was really huge for a guy like Penix, who medicals are his main question. But Jordan Schultz. High praise for Washington quarterback Michael Penix Jr. from a personnel director I spoke with at the Combine. Mentioned Steve Young as a comp, and Penix is a far better athlete than he's been given credit for. He is more of a pocket guy than Steve was, but I keep watching that Texas tape. Ball comes out so quick. He's fast. He'll run well here. Didn't end up running, but definitely spun the ball pretty damn good. And Penix, I mean, he led Washington to the national title game, one-loss season. But overall, he was extremely, extremely damn good and effective throughout the year. Stepped up big in big-time games as well. And the superlatives, the quick release, I think he and Rattler have the most natural arm talent in the draft. Got to throw Milton in there as well. But in terms of accuracy, in terms of deep ball placement, he is certainly there. Plays in rhythm, clutching close games. Potentially should have won the Heisman. I feel like Daniels deservedly won the Heisman, but it should have been a lot closer with Penix. Now, he has torn his right ACL twice, also had some AC joint issues back at Indiana. And some teams will hold it against him if he's left-handed. Like, if you've invested a lot in left tackle, you'd be like, oh, all of a sudden our left tackle is now not on the blind side, so he's not worth as much. But that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous, man. But I do think that Penix has a chance to be a stud in this league. He's 23, turns 24 in May. Former three-star recruit from Tampa. Began at Indiana, but then had all those medical issues. Now, it's important to note that once he transferred to Washington, by and large, he stayed healthy. Like, he didn't have those catastrophic end-of-season injuries. So that is important, too. And for me, I think that there should be 5 quarterbacks in the first round. I think May, Williams, and Daniels in some order go 1, 2, 3. I think McCarthy will be flirting around the top 10. I think Penix is a perfect candidate for trade into the back end of the first round and go get him type guy, because even though he's a little bit older of a prospect, even though he's got those medical issues, I think the upside is certainly there. Whereas if he stays healthy, I think he has a chance to be as talented as any of these quarterbacks in this class. I love his attitude. His teammates love him. He's got that great leadership as well. I think he has to work on underneath touch a little bit, but that can be sussed out with coaching and footwork and technique and whatnot. But you know, the old saying in the NBA, you can't teach height. You literally cannot teach how Penix Jr. spins the ball, man. And draft-wise, so the Vikings sitting at 11. I think just sticking and picking Penix at 11 is a little much. I don't think that he gets to 42 to the Vikings in the second round. Like I said, I think that he is a perfect candidate for... Well, all right, so let's think this out. So 11 might be too high for the Vikings, sure. 12 for the Broncos. Say McCarthy goes 11 to the Vikings or the Falcons or wherever. But McCarthy's off the board. Could you see Penix going to the Broncos? Yes. Could you see Penix going to the Raiders? Sure. Could you see... I don't know, Penix going to Seattle? I know they're in on Geno for 1 year. What about next year? Or what about the Steelers at 20? Now I think we're starting to get into the conversation. And then as you go on, I mean, Penix certainly would be a candidate for a team to trade back in, or say the Buccaneers lose Baker in free agency. I think that he would make a lot of sense at 26. So TBD there. But overall, I think Penix has a chance to be a very special player. And I'm really glad that he had a great combine, because I think the national title game, rightfully so, put a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths about Penix. But that Texas game, when he beat Oregon twice this year, all those close games that Washington had this year where Penix and the offense made a play at the end, dude has a chance to be very, very special if he could stay healthy. And that's always the if, right? But your thoughts are thoughts. Michael Penix Jr. owned the combine. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.